Hi, my friends. Today I want to share a new story with you. I hope you enjoy it. I never meant to become someone's lifeline. That wasn't my goal when I started working at Oakridge Public Library 8 years ago. I was just Catherine Novak, 37, a quiet librarian who organized local events and knew which visitors liked mystery books more than love stories. I was the one who always had a book to suggest for a rainy day or a sad heart. I also fixed the old heater when it acted up in winter and watered the plants that most people forgot about. My life was simple. Every morning at 5:15 a.m., I came in early to get the library ready before it opened at 7 a.m. I liked the quiet hours, time to put books away, update the catalog, and enjoy the silence before the day started. One morning in late September, I noticed someone new. She was an older woman with silver hair in a loose bun. She wore the same navy sweater every day, even as the weather changed. She sat on the stone bench across from the library, holding an old leather purse in her lap. I wouldn't have paid much attention, except she came every day at exactly 5:30 a.m., staring at the building like she was thinking of something far away. For a week, I watched her from the window. She never came to the door, never talked to anyone. She just sat quietly, looking both delicate and strong, and then left at 6:45 a.m. before we opened. On the 8th day, with rain clouds overhead, I made a choice. I filled one of our extra tote bags with a few things: a mystery novel I'd already read, a bookmark with our hours, and a thermos of English breakfast tea from home. My heart was beating fast as I walked outside. I don't usually talk to strangers, but her eyes reminded me of my grandmother after my grandpa passed away, sharp but sad. "Good morning," I said, slowly walking up. "Looks like it might rain. I brought you something warm." She looked at me with curious eyes but didn't reach for the bag. She just studied my face like she was trying to figure out if I meant well. "I'm Catherine," I said, placing the bag on the bench. "I work in the library. The tea is English breakfast, and there's a book if you'd like to read." She kept her hands on her purse. "I'm not waiting for the library to open," she finally said. Her voice was firm but gentle, with a hint of an accent. "That's okay," I said, stepping back. "The bag is yours anyway." The next day, she was there again. The tote bag sat beside her, and the thermos was placed neatly on the bench, empty and clean. The book was still untouched. That was the start of our quiet routine. Every morning, I brought tea and a different book. She returned the thermos but didn't read the books. We barely spoke, just short comments about the weather. Soon, people at work noticed. "Who's the woman you bring tea to?" asked Derek, our tech guy. "Does the director know you're giving away books?" whispered Amal, the new assistant. I just smiled and kept shelving books. 2 weeks later, Director Phillips called me into her office. It smelled like coffee and lemon cleaner. Her desk was perfectly neat. "Catherine, the staff mentioned your morning visitor," she said calmly. "Is everything okay?" "She's not really a visitor," I said. "She just sits outside. The books are mine, and I pay for the tea." She looked at me. "You know we have rules about loitering." "She's not bothering anyone," I said. "She's just sitting in a public space." After a moment, she nodded. "Be careful. Your kindness is appreciated, but boundaries matter." I understood. There are rules to keep things professional, but I still brought the tea and the books every morning. Then, 3 weeks after we started, the bench was empty. I left the bag anyway, hoping she was just late, but by 7 a.m., it was still there, untouched. I kept bringing the bag for 5 more days. The bench stayed empty. On the 6th day, I found a note in the book return slot. My name was written neatly on the outside. "Catherine. I'm in Memorial Hospital, room 415. If you can, I'd love another book. Maybe something with a happy ending this time. Eliza." I finally knew her name. That evening, I brought her a historical fiction book full of hope. At room 415, I paused at the door. It was half open, and I saw her lying in bed, smaller without her usual sweater. "Come in," she said before I even knocked. "I heard you thinking." The room was simple, no flowers, cards, or decorations, just her purse beside the bed and a steady beep from the heart monitor. "I brought a book," I said, placing it nearby. "I think you'll like this one." She gently touched the cover. "Thanks for the tea all those mornings," she said. "I couldn't go inside the library, but seeing you meant a lot." "Why couldn't you go in?" I asked before thinking. She paused, then said, "My daughter was a librarian at Oakridge, years ago." A chill ran through me. "Amanda Hayes?" She nodded. "Amanda had worked here before I did. She died in a car crash 10 years ago. Our reading room was named after her. I couldn't walk in, Eliza said, but I needed to be close to the place she loved. I sat beside her. Tell me about her. And she did. She shared stories about Amanda's love for books, her childhood, her dreams of helping people. I listened, asked questions, and laughed with her. Something shifted between us. I came back the next day, and the next. I brought more books and tea, and sometimes muffins. Eliza slowly got better. One afternoon, she held my hand. I found something of Amanda's, she said. I think the library should have it. She pulled a notebook from under her pillow. These are Amanda's ideas for programs she never got to start. I held the notebook like it was treasure. I'll make sure they happen, I said. 2 weeks later, Eliza left the hospital. I drove her home, where her apartment was full of books and family photos. I saw Amanda's smile in one picture, just like her mom's. Then one Tuesday morning, 3 months after we first met, Eliza was on the bench again, this time with her own tote bag. I think it's time to go inside, she said. We walked in together. She paused at the door, took a deep breath, and moved forward. We stopped in the Amanda Hayes reading room, and she looked at her daughter's photo, her eyes filling with tears. I stood by her side. The next week, we started one of Amanda's programs, a reading class for seniors. Eliza helped. Then came book delivery for people at home, story time in different languages, tech classes for older adults. People noticed. The local paper wrote a story, Mother Continues Librarian Daughter's Legacy. Other libraries called, wanting to do the same. 6 months later, Director Phillips called me in again. These programs are making a difference, she said, handing me a folder. The state wants to fund them. They're calling it the Hayes Community Connection Project. That night, Eliza and I sat in the reading room, planning more ways to help people. You know, she said, I sat on that bench for 2 years before you noticed me. 2 years? I said, shocked. She nodded. I was waiting for someone like you, someone who saw more than just a sad woman on a bench. 3 weeks later, at our community event, we put up a new plaque beside Amanda's photo. The paths we create for others often lead us home. Then someone unexpected arrived, a young woman in military uniform. She walked up to Eliza. Mrs. Hayes? She asked. I'm Lieutenant Sarah Collins. I was in Amanda's literacy class as a kid. She changed my life. She held out a worn book. This was hers. She let me borrow it before the accident. I carried it through 3 deployments. I think it's time it came home. Eliza's hand shook as she took the book, The Secret Garden. She always said everyone deserves a second chance to bloom, the lieutenant said. That night, I found a gift on the desk, a brand new thermos. It had words from Amanda's notebook on it. Libraries aren't buildings, they're bridges between souls. Now, every morning at 7 a.m., Eliza and I sit together in the reading room with tea. Sometimes we talk, sometimes we just sit quietly. The bench outside is empty now, but inside, the library is full of people, ideas, and meaning. I never meant to be someone's lifeline, but small things, a cup of tea, a kind word, noticing someone, can build bridges across deep sorrow. When we truly see someone, we help them heal, and sometimes, we heal too. If you're watching this, remember, someone out there is waiting to be seen. A book, a warm drink, a kind moment, it could mean more than you know. Subscribe to Beyond Words, where stories of kindness always have a place.